A lot of Christian entrepreneurs, they've struggled and a lot of them have won out of business.
As Christian business owners, we should have the best marketing.
The number one reason people don't buy from you is because they don't know you exist. People buy people long before they buy brands, products, or services.
We see people way too often using Jesus as their marketing strategy, posting Bible verses, thinking that that's growing their brand.
The way you do business should reflect who Christ is.
The more you say stuff and change it, the more people are going to distrust you.
There's a lot of people probably trying to do something similar to you. Most of them won't be here 10 years from now. Be the one that is. Welcome back to another episode of the Christian Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Cottle, joined with my co-host, Esther Cottle, my beautiful wife. And we're on a mission to teach people how to do business God's way. And today's episode, we're going to cover the 5 biggest marketing fails that Christian entrepreneurs make. And if you're a business owner, then you know marketing is such an integral part of your business, especially in today's world with social media. And I really look at marketing. How do you take someone from never knowing you to buying something from you? But in the process of doing that and building a business God's way, we have to learn what's in alignment with the Word of God, what's not, and how do we do marketing with excellence as Christian entrepreneurs? So, babe,
Yes.
Are you ready to dive in?
I'm so ready for this topic. I am the marketing girl at
She
the
is
Christian
our
Entrepreneur
marketer.
Club and the podcast. And so I feel like I hide behind the Iron Curtain.
Well, today you're right in front. You're on camera. You're looking beautiful as ever.
Oh, thank you, honey. I think we should dive right in. And we have 5 marketing fails, but we have a bonus one before we get started. And that is that we see people way too often using Jesus as their marketing strategy.
Yeah.
Slapping that Jesus fish or a cross or whatever on their branding and just kind of not doing anything different in their business or how they represent the kingdom or their excellence in how they deliver their service, but just that being like, oh yeah, like I'm a Christian business owner.
Well, and I think in one hand, it's really cool to see God being glorified more in the world.
Yeah.
And in the marketplace. And I think a lot of Christians, a lot of people are waking up, revival is breaking out in the marketplace, and there is a hunger and a thirst for Jesus. Mm-hmm. And so on one hand, it's like, I'm grateful to see so many professing the name of Jesus as Lord and Savior. But I think on the other side of that, it's the heart posture and the intention and the way that you do it. Mm-hmm. And so we also have, with that good, the bad of people using Christian marketing now, especially to target Christians and to try to sell them for the sole purpose of making more money.
Right.
And that's not kingdom. And so I'm really excited actually about this topic. Mm-hmm. We run a community nearing now 700 Christian business owners. So this is a topic we have to address every single week, something we have to teach and something her and I have to make sure, especially as we're building a Christian business organization, we're fully in alignment with the Word of God. And I think we've stumbled maybe in some areas we could be sharpened. So I'm really excited. Let's dive into the first point.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to tie up that last bonus there, it's not using Jesus as leverage, right, to get more clients instead of just letting your business reflect him, your excellence, your integrity, how you do business.
Yeah.
So just knowing that there's a difference there. It's like we want to be set apart and we want to show others that we're representing the kingdom. But then at the same time, we don't want to make a bad name for
And I kind of think
Christ.
about it like, because you think about marketing kind of like a magnet, right? And so people are doing marketing, they're trying to pull people towards them to do business with them. And in some sense, you do have to market what you do well, the problem that you solve, to bring customers and clients in. But when I think about like bringing our faith into our businesses and representing it, I just look at it like, are you glorifying Christ through the way you do business?
Yeah.
And I think that there's a difference there. Now, it's okay to be a Christian business if your avatar and your client truly is Christians and the thing that you serve solves a problem for them, but you have to be really careful. As you walk that line, is what I'm doing glorifying Christ? Is it pushing people towards Jesus? Or are you someone who's using the name of Jesus and not even doing business in a Jesus way? And then you're actually giving a bad impression of who Christ is and pushing people farther away from him. And if there's any bone I have to pick with Christian entrepreneurs, that's it.
Yeah.
The people, and I did podcasts on this, like saying I'll never do business with a Christian again, representing their father's brand, saying, hey, I'm a Christian who owns a business, basically using that as a tagline of you can trust me. And then, letting down that trust by not doing business the right way, giving a reflection of if that's who Christian business owners are, I don't want anything to do with you guys or Jesus. And so I think but it's also really cool when you see great business owners really reflect Christ in the way they do business.
Yeah.
And so I just think that's the heart. And I hope for you guys listening to the podcast, like, I hope that's who you are. And if you're in the process of like, man, I don't know if I do that, that's okay. We're all in a journey of figuring it out. But God sees your heart. And if you continue to stay submitted to him as you build your business, I really believe you can reach people that never would have stepped foot in a church. And they're like, man, there's something different, about the way you do business. And that's such a great evangelistic opportunity to say, hey, it's God's business.
Yeah.
It's not my business.
Absolutely. Well, that is also another conversation for another time, because we're going to dive into tactical strategies here that we see so many business owners make. So the first one is they think a website will magically bring customers. Can we just set the record straight? A website is not just going to instantly turn you into a bestseller product or service. It's not going to instantly attract customers. And how many times have we done that? We paid for like a $7,000 website. And like, what did we do with it? Nothing.
Yeah. And this is like getting into tactical business strategy. And it's like, you have to understand that. And a lot of people I think that are newer in business or maybe not as savvy in the marketing world have this thought process of, if I have a website that tells people who I am and what I do, and even a way for them to book a call with me or buy my thing, once that's created, people will start buying. Yeah. And they spend all that money, all that time, all that effort, they do it, and then they go, well, no one went to my website, nobody bought anything. And the truth is, because you haven't generated lead flow to actually get to your website. And I think I actually firmly believe today, and I know it's true because I know so many that have done it, including us, you can make hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars without a website.
And we did it.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times your social media channel can be your website. Yeah. It kind of is replacing that in some degree in this day and age. But we've done that in previous businesses. Yeah.
The whole point of these marketing assets is to be able to get in front of people and talk about the problem that you solve and build trust through the brand that you're developing and giving them a call to action to what the next step is for your business. And, in our Christian Entrepreneur Club, we mentor, in marketing every single month. And we have been really raising up a generation of teaching like, hey, you need to learn different strategies, and there's organic and there's paid traffic, and both have a use case. Paid costs money, but it's going to drive a lot more people. Not everybody has that money. Okay, what are the organic things that you can do to start generating traffic to actually get to your website? And then there's even people that think social media is going to solve all their problems, and are like, well, I just need to post videos.
We're going to get to that today.
And it's like, well, not necessarily. Just because you post videos, if you have 20 views and no one going to your website, nothing
all these
happens.
Assumptions like, oh yeah, marketing, I'm going to do my marketing. And then they have these ideas, these grandiose visions of like either their social media or their website just doing all the work for them, when really those are just assets to invite people to have a conversation with you. I like looking at it like your website is like your house. Let's say, you just moved into a new house. Your friends aren't just going to randomly show up at your doorstep. Your neighbors aren't just going to show up. You have to invite them to your house. You have to have a housewarming party. You have to have food there for them. You got to get that Evite, that particle out there, and give people a reason to come meet up with you at your house, and then build trust with them, And so that really, I like that analogy, because it just shows you that like these are assets that you can have in your arsenal of building your brand presence and your business presence, and kind of like your offers are there, but no one knows you exist if you don't create the pathway for
the number one reason people don't buy from you is because they don't know you exist.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, I like to speak from my own experience, not just theory. And if I look at my journey of building businesses and, us building businesses, I think early on there was a level of kind of guerrilla marketing. There was, I didn't have a lot of money to invest in marketing. I didn't know much about marketing, and relationships were everything.
What's guerrilla marketing?
I mean, I would call guerrilla marketing like you're scrappy.
Okay.
You know, like you're really like, you know, if you think of guerrilla warfare, like they're attacking in like large armies in small groups and stuff. And so for me, like early on, it was like, I saw people that invested a lot in websites and they didn't make any money. And I remember talking to like, and I had a friend at one time that did make me a website for like $500 and hooked me up. He had a big marketing company, normally charged $5,000. He's like, hey, I want to help you. But no one ever came into business with me through my website. It came from the relationships I formed. And a lot of that came from me investing to be in rooms. So like early on in business, and I know we're getting away from website, but it's important if we're going to talk about marketing. It's like, I joined networking groups. You know, I was part of local chambers of commerce. I was part of BNI groups. This was before like Christian business groups like ours existed. I joined masterminds. I joined coaching programs. I built relationships. A lot of my actual money-making clients came from that. Right. And then while that was going on, I was starting to build my own personal brand online. And so that involved Facebook. At first was big for me. I built a Facebook group back when that was a thing. I posted a video every single day for over 500 days in a row. That got me known as the motivation everything guy. And I used to do these 30-sec motivation check videos. And the thing about social media, if you're going to do it, you need to commit to doing it for over a year and doing it consistently. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort. Through that, credibility gets built. I look at your social media as like your resume. You know, you're saying you're this person that does this thing, that solves this problem, especially if you're in the online education space. And people are going to go check you out. And so there was an evolution of social media. And then I tapped into live events, virtual and in person. Our greatest success back in the day was we would host events, invite people into the room. And we did DM marketing to fill up those rooms. We leveraged our networks. We started moving into online paid advertising. And if you fast forward all the way to today, we have this podcast. We reach people all around the world. That's a marketing channel. We have social medias. We have an Instagram for Esther, for me, and the Christian Entrepreneur Club. All of those generate traffic to everything that we do. We run a lot of money in paid ads now. Very effective if you do it right. So we spend, you know, over $10,000 every single month, Facebook and Instagram, running paid ads. And then what I love about paid ads is you build a CRM and you build an email list. And now we're sending out probably like 10 to 20,000 emails a day. And so it's like every business owner, and you have to find the lane that works for you guys. Like every business is different. There's a million ways to be successful. Find the one that works for you. Who is your customer? What problem do you solve for them? Where are they hanging out? How do you reach them? And how do you nurture them to a place where you say, hey, here's the next step. Because
we don't even necessarily have a website traditionally. Even to this day, we have a funnel, and that a funnel just lets someone do one thing.
A funnel is a website. A lot of people get confused, but it's designed to simplify one action on the page.
It's not just about us. It's about the other person on the other side, and we're introducing ourselves to them.
And real quick on that, people's attention spans are shorter than ever. And so traditionally, old school website had like a 5 or 7 page website, right? You had the about us, you had the info, you had the gallery, you had the blog, you had like all these pages. And guys, you got to think about, no one wants to go to a website today and go through 5 different pages. Sending traffic to one place, and the most effective strategy is a VSL funnel. That's a video sales letter. They land on your page. There's a strong headline that grabs them, a sub-headline that elaborates the problem you solve, a video they watch that's 3 to 8 minutes, and a huge button that says, do this thing. And then below that is all credibility.
Right, exactly. And so I love that because you just focused on, you know, how do I have more conversations, connect more with people, serve more people, and build an audience, build a community of through serving them. And then if I have a website, then that just allows them to come into my ecosystem, not like, oh, let me build my business and then have this website and then just magically they'll appear. And that just shows that a website doesn't create the demand, it converts demand that you've already created.
Exactly. And it's like it's just a tool that you're using to allow people to take the next step with you. And if we look at like book a call, very popular if you're a service-based business, you need to have a sales conversation. And so that's usually the action. If you're selling a product, it's to, you know, add a product to the cart and to check out, right? And so, yeah, I think that's so good. I also just want to say, people buy people long before they buy brands, products, or services. Now, big companies have built brands that we trust, household brands that everyone knows. And if you are aspiring to do that with a brand, that is a great place to reach. But we're seeing a shift in marketing from people trusting brands, which was our parents' generation, to buying into people. And if you think about social media today, think about how many people on social media you follow that influence your buying decisions.
Yeah.
And so it's like people buy people. And that's why a personal brand is one of the greatest levers. And if you look at the big business guys and the Alex Hermosis, even Dave Ramsey and all the other cats, you know, they're heavily investing in content because content is building brand, and brand is huge lever with massive influence. And driving traffic to thing where they buy and they actually make money in their business is greatly increased when they have a much larger audience to do. So then it would be good to say like, hey, it's a good use of your time to invest in building your brand and developing an audience. The last thing I'll say is people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. And what I found is when we as Christians come out and say, hey, this is my product, buy it, no one buys. But when you come out and you speak so well and so excellent about the thing that you do for people, the heart that you carry, people go like, wow, Cody and Esther really care about helping Christian business owners. And I get so much value through their podcast. I get so much value through their social media. And if you're the right person for what we offer, many people that listen to this podcast say, I would love to hop on your intro call. We have a link in this podcast. We have a funnel that has a video, and so many people join our Christian Entrepreneur Club. But we first built trust, which is the most important factor to do business. Yeah.
The only caveat I would add to that before we lead to the next step is that for a product-based business, whether that be a clothing brand, hat company, meat company, we've worked with several of those. I do think it's a little bit different because you're not always writing that on your personal brand. A lot of that is that it's a movement that you can kind of tap into, and
but even Chloe, one of our consulting
community
clients,
that you feel like you can sell to people because they identify with that community or they identify with that style. So yeah, and I do think though that there's some unique factors to.
But if we look at Chloe Parker Pastors, she's a client of ours. She's in our Christian Entrepreneur Club. She's a private client of Esther and I's. She owns grass-fed, grass-finished meat company. She has a vision for God of bringing people back to the table. And so her product she sells is meat. It's that simple. And her goal is to get customers to buy that and order boxes and all that. And that's great. Her differentiation is her mission. And she's building a movement around bringing families back to the table.
Right. Yeah. And she uses her story in that, but her mission and her movement is really what people buy into. Let's go to the next one. So number 2 fail that we see so many Christian business owners make is they post randomly without a strategy on social media. Yeah. And you talked a lot about that. So what do you see that people do that you're like, oh, like a little cringe? Or just like, you're missing it. Like you're missing the point. Like just posting random graphics or posting Bible verses and thinking that that's growing their brand.
Yeah. Well, I think first I'd like to acknowledge anyone that's putting themselves out there and posting is ahead of the people that aren't. I would say second, if you're not seeing results from what you're doing, you should probably ask why. And I think that people get into social media and they just have no idea what they're doing as far as for a business person. Social media is a social first platform. Yeah. Social network's sole purpose is to build a network where we can all socialize online. That's the core purpose of social media. It wasn't originally intended for, sure, they wanted to, sell the ad revenue from our attention. That's their business model. That's why it's free for us business owners to leverage it to sell stuff. Now, I will say that began happening 10 years ago. And it's evolved over time. And now the social networks are backing entrepreneurs and giving us a lot of tools, which is super cool. But when, we've taught this and we have so many courses in the Christian Entrepreneur Club on this, but I essentially would say my greatest advice for an entrepreneur wanting to leverage social media is you first need to develop your content pillars. Yeah. And so these are 3 to 5 pillars that you are going to make content about. Now, a couple of those pillars are going to have to do with your business. But a couple of them also need to go beyond just the scope of the product or the service that make people want to follow you and like you and trust you. An example, like one of our pillars is business and entrepreneurship. Another one of our pillars is faith. We love talking about Jesus. We love talking about God, and we see the two in one overlapping a lot.
Yeah.
But we also have a pillar of lifestyle and the way that we live our lives. I would say the greatest reason people follow me on social media is they love seeing the life that I've developed with you. And we've traveled the world, and people love seeing us travel around the world and share different things. And there's maybe some entertainment in there, a little bit of an entertainment pillar of sometimes entertaining people. And I think you look at like social media as like you have your own television channel, and it's like your own Netflix series, and people are tuning in to watch it. And your stories is like your what's that? What are the shows called where it's like reality TV, right? Your stories are your reality TV show. It's raw, it's real, it's everything that's happening in your day. My stories are the thing I'm probably the most consistent with. You've taken over a lot of the social media stuff. People love following my journey, and it makes them feel like they're a part of my life. And then I'd say our content is always through the lens of, is this piece of content adding value into the lives of other people?
Yeah.
And Gary Vaynerchuk wrote a book. Everyone should go buy it, Jab, Jab, Right Hook. And the premise of it is give value, make and ask. And so I'd say that's important. Then I'd say, like, if you're going to make video, you should probably get some training and develop that skill set and how to make videos that people actually watch, people enjoy, people get value from. And maybe you're new to social media and you don't know how to do that. There's so many resources out there today to learn how to do that. And for me, I early on didn't try to be perfect with my videos. I wanted to be consistent. And so I remember, like, even our good friend Justin Mano, who now works with us, our community director, early on, like, he's kind of social media influencer. I'm kind of social media influencer, but he overthought every piece of content having to be perfect and put little content out. Here I am over here making mistakes, not posting the most perfect videos, but every day I'm posting multiple times. I built a brand, I built trust, and I was able to grow my businesses through that. And we had a conversation. He's like, dude, I really admire that about you. Like, he's even saying, hey, there's this video I had and I kind of cringed in it, right? And it's like, hey, well, that's part of the process. I've got to learn, I've got to develop. But while you're over here overthinking what to post, I've already made 10 mistakes and learned from those mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's good to have those content pillars going back to strategy. You're not just throwing spaghetti at a wall. And I don't think everyone needs to share their personal life. I barely share much of my personal life because I look at social media like a platform to just encourage people or to build the mission that God's called us to. And so all that content kind of goes through the filter of education or inspiring, encouraging people, adding value. That's why we do this podcast, is because we want to go deep with people, and then we chop up those clips and we share it on social media so that we can just impart some inspiration, impart some encouragement, impart value to people's days, and then solve a problem. So I think it's really good to ask yourself, is my content serving people, or is it just building my image? Is it just building my mission and my personal brand? Because I think that can also get your heart in the wrong posture of idolatry on social media and just building your own fan base, which as believers, that should not be any of our ambitions.
Yeah. And I think, like, you can build a content, you got to build something that works for your life. For many years, I took the time to post every day on social media. I actually have no desire to do that now.
Yeah, you used to post like literally your food every single time we'd go out, or different things too. Like that.
That was years ago.
And now you barely ever.
I don't really.
Anything.
And the thing is, why? Because I value my freedom more than anything. I want to be present with my wife. I want to enjoy my life. And I will say, guys, after years of trial and error in marketing, I found paid ads bought me freedom. I spend a lot of money. Meta makes a lot of money off of us. But you know what? I've built a system that generates consistent leads. And so it's like, I posted about this not too long ago because I traveled around the United States speaking on stage, teaching people how to do social media for years. Yeah. And now I made a post and kind of like, hey, I'm wrong, guys. You don't have to do that. It did serve me in that season.
Yes.
But here's the thing. I don't mind spending $1 if I make $4 back on ads. And so it's kind of like, I would rather run that machine and post on social media out of a heart posture of, I want to, not I need to. And I don't think everyone has the luxury to do that when they can't afford paid ads. So you've got to build your business to where it cash flows. But we started with $1,000 our first month in paid ads. Now we've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on paid ads. And so it's interesting, but here we are coming back to more content. And so back to Content Engine, I have found what works for me. You guys pick what works for you. I love long form. This is long form content. We record this episode. We have a videographer here. Yes, we have to invest money to do this production, but it's relatively low if you find the right people. We record, 4 podcasts typically in a day. We now have YouTube videos for every single week. We have long form audio podcast that goes out. We repurpose our Bible study messages that I teach live to our community for the podcast. And then we chop up this long form. Now we've got Reels for Instagram every day. We've got TikToks. It's the same content, YouTube Shorts, Facebook Reels. The only time investment that we have is sitting down, recording this content, preparation for it. And then we have a team that does the editing and the YouTube stuff. And then Esther does oversee our social. So currently she writes the captions, does that. We have someone else that makes the thumbnails and she posts it. That's the content engine that works best for us in this season. And I think you've got to decide what that is for you in your business.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just wrap that up by saying, people follow businesses that make their lives better. They're going to follow pages that make their lives better, whether you're making them laugh or you're solving a problem for them or you're inspiring, educating, encouraging them. So serve your community first, have a strategy with your content. We're going to get back to this episode really quick, but before we do, we want to share something that's really close to Cody and I's heart. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt torn between building something big, building your business, and staying faithful to God? I know we have, and it's so common. You want to grow your business, you want to make money, but you don't want to feel like you are driven by the wrong motives or wrong ambitions. And it's so common for people to feel that way. And that's exactly why we built the Christian Entrepreneur Club.
Yeah, so you don't have to teeter between ambition and obedience. You can actually build something that's successful and led by God in the process. If that's the tension you've been feeling, come meet our team. We'd love to learn more about you and get you connected to a thriving community of Christian business owners just like you. Go to christianentrepreneurclub.com or click the link in the show notes down below and join us on our next intro call this next week. We can't wait to meet you.
All right, third fail that we see so many Christian business owners make is they try to market to everyone.
Yeah.
They're talking to everyone, and therefore they're missing the one person that they're actually
The riches are in the niches.
They're missing it. And so, messaging, when your messaging is so broad and you're just like, I want to sell to Christians. That's so broad.
Yeah.
Like, or just, what, or just business owners, small business owners. Well, who? Find who you actually can speak to. And I find that that's a mass problem. And then a lot of people just kind of utilizing AI to be their messenger for them or speak for them, copying and pasting.
Well, I think we have to go back to the fundamentals of what a business is. And so why does a business exist in the first place?
To solve a problem.
That's it. So if a business exists to solve a problem, you've developed a product or a service that solves a need of someone in the world. And you need to obsess around the problem you solve. You need to obsess around the messaging that you communicate to the people that it solves that problem for. A confused buyer never buys anything at all.
Right.
And so it's like,
I don't trust you.
And I've made this mistake, right? It's like shotgun, buckshot marketing versus sniper rifle marketing. And like, if you're shooting a buckshot, you're trying to hit everything. But if you're shooting a sniper rifle, you have one singular target, and the chance of you hitting that target and like achieving your objective is so much greater. And so, yeah, I think it's interesting. Like, what is the problem that you solve for people? Who is the person that you solve it for? What is keeping them up at night? What is their pain? And we hear this all the time in marketing, right? But guys, it works. There's only 2 motivating factors. It's pain and pleasure. And so the pain of where they're at will invoke them to make a change, to want to work with you if you solve that problem. And the dream outcome of the pleasure that you achieve through the thing that you offer them will also get them to see like, man, I want that reality in my life. I'm willing to give value for that money. And so I think we see on social media people that are early on and they try to speak to everyone and they're never effective.
Yeah.
But if you like let's give them like a really good example of this, right? And it's like, okay, so there was a time where I had a program I developed called the Business Influencer Accelerator. Okay, so essentially I taught business owners how to develop influence online to accelerate their business. Early on, I started very broad and I was like, I can help any business owner. I believe, and I do believe that, like any business owner can leverage social media. Problem was it was so wide that I wasn't an expert for any area. Then we niched down into the real estate industry.
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe that was kind of God's little guidance in that, because it wasn't like I was like, oh, I'm just going to go after realtors and loan officers.
Yeah.
It was through a relationship that opened a door to do an event with a loan officer and some real estate agents where I spoke to a room of them. And I realized, wow, this is a great audience for me. So then I started gearing marketing to, I help realtors and loan officers leverage content online to reach their ideal customer, to generate leads, and to do more deals. Now I'm very specific. And if I make all of my content speaking to that person, and then I went even more niche for our events, and I'd be like, hey, are you a real estate agent in San Diego, California that wants to learn how to leverage social media to grow your business, to get your brand out there, and to generate more real estate transactions? If that is you, I'm gonna teach you how to do A, B, and C on this day. Comment, this below, and I'll reach out to you.
Yeah, that was such a perfect audience for us too, because then we started becoming a lever for real estate agents to bring into their team meetings.
Yeah.
Because
remember I was going around speaking to all kinds of real estate offices.
So many real estate agents were like, oh, will you come, be a part of this event? Because they're always doing events for networking with loan officers and all that stuff. And so we became an asset within their little ecosystem. And then
everyone wanted to bring us in to teach that subject matter to their group. I will tell you this, though. Positioning matters. What I learned running a marketing company for like 7 years was I was always trying to catch the next wave. Personally, I grew tired of it.
Yeah.
The content in online marketing world is changing so fast and evolving that it was like I had to go from like social media early on and graphics. Like I started y'all back when we were doing all the whole graphic campaigns to video content, to then DM, like outreach teaching, to then AI. And I think part of the success we did really well, was social media for business was booming. Like everyone wanted to know how to do it. Nobody knew how to do it. And we caught a wave and we capitalized on it by providing education early on to people that wanted it. And we niched down to an audience that we knew was a great audience. There was a lot of them. They would invest in the thing that we could teach. And we knew a process we could take them through to get results.
Yeah.
That started to fizzle down.
Yeah.
Because all these new tools came out, all this new education came out, and there was less of a demand for what we offered. And so I think it's just important to know too, like, I have friends that, own digital marketing agencies and stuff, and they've struggled, and a lot of them have won out of business. And I think the ones that have done well have constantly pivoted to what's the next thing we can bring to the audience to solve a problem for, because they already feel like they know how to do social media. Now we need to learn how to run an ad agency and run paid ads for them. And so it's just important to know that for your industry.
Yeah, I think what we learned was we're in the digital marketing space. We're going to evolve as we're growing. We're learning new tools as the market is growing, as people's needs are changing.
Yeah.
And so we developed our own skill sets so that we could not only grow our own business, but help serve our clients. And I think that really shifted as time went on.
And I look at all the years of investing into my personal brand allowed me to build an audience that trusts me. And it's really cool when you do that, because I've shifted industries a couple times and a lot of people have carried over with me into the new thing that I do.
Yeah.
And I think it was because they bought into Cody. It wasn't necessarily the thing I sold. It was the man behind the business itself. And so don't overlook that, guys. Like your vibe attracts your tribe. putting content out every day is going to repel some people. They're not going to, some people can't stand me and can't stand my content or the way I speak or whatever. And I have no problem with that. I'm not everybody's
100%.
cup of tea.
I mean, we're not using Instagram or social media as our scrapbook or our, form of communication with our family.
But there are people that love the content we put out, and it's that you turn them into raving fans. And then when you have a problem you solve that's like, wow, I have that problem, and you make it easy for them to take the next step with your business, it's really easy to convert your audience into a customer or a client because they already trust you.
Yeah, and because they see that you have the heart posture of a person that they want to do business with.
And if you go out and you solve enough problems for people in what you do, and I love stories of this, and I've heard so many entrepreneurial stories. There's people that are just getting started. They had no credibility. And it's like, they're like, you know what? I'm just going to go serve people. And sometimes in the beginning, like, no one trusts you enough to give you money. I mean, Billie Jean is marketing. I'm not saying I endorse that guy at all, but his story is pretty incredible in San Diego. He wanted to get into online marketing. He went to restaurants and local businesses, and he said, hey, I'll record all this content for free for you. I'll run your paid ads and everything online. You don't have to pay me anything. Just pay for the ad spend. And if at the end of the month you like what I've done for you, sit down and have a conversation with me. And he gave value and he served them. And just about all of those businesses saw an increase in their growth of their business because what he was doing, he learned how to do well. And they all hired him on like $2,000-$3,000 retainers a month. And he went from no income in business to making over like $30,000 a month a few months into his journey. And so it's like, how can you serve people with the gifts God's given you? Even at first, maybe not getting the return on investment that you're worth or you want, but through doing that, like people go like, man, like this person has a heart to serve. They solve a problem I have, and I would love to pay them to continue to do that for me.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to combine these two that I actually have here, and then I'm going to ask you to give your greatest marketing fail that you've seen. But the last two that I have here on our list is just that their messaging is confusing, marketing messaging is confusing, and they try to do everything themselves without either gaining the skills, the knowledge, the education, or hiring the right person to fulfill their marketing. And so I think that so many people are in this space of, I love YouTube University. I love figuring things out on my own. A lot of times we're pretty good at being self-taught, but then there's things that I'm like, you know what? I'm not the best at this.
Yeah.
I need to hire someone. The people doing our podcast and all of that, they are experts in this space. And so it's therefore helping us do a better job and multiplying the work that we're putting into it.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of people kind of going back to even what I was saying about AI. I see a lot of very long-winded descriptions about their businesses, even within our community.
People can read through that. It's not genuine.
They can see straight through that. And so if you just think that you're going to outsource your marketing to AI, I mean, it's a great leverage, but you have to do the work. You have to learn. You have to educate yourself.
AI can't be the creative spark that God gives us. And I actually now am kind of a fan of so many people are using AI. Their content's so disingenuous that it gives us another unique opportunity to be original by actually thinking about what we want to say.
1,000% agreed. And if you can't explain what you do in 1 to 2 sentences, then you're losing people and you don't even know your own niche in business. So I think that I love what Donald Miller says. He says, when you confuse, you lose. Noise is the enemy. And so what is noise? Noise is all of the words, all of the jargon. We have a community and we have like this message board app that we use, and we have people post about themselves and their business and their services. And I can't tell you how many posts I see that are like a whole page long essay, and I still don't know what they do.
Yeah.
And it's because they're really just not putting in the time and the effort to articulate it themselves and go down because you do need to do a little bit of digging. You do need to do a little bit of brand development, story development. And then how can you connect with that person that you really want to reach, that person that you feel so called to serve and alleviate their pain. And then articulate that in a way that resonates, And so,
but they talk too much about themselves. And if you just said I help people, that are going through this problem, solve this pain, and I'd love to help you. and like, here's how you can book a call with me. I'd love to serve you. And like, I'm willing to do a free 30-minute, like there's so many ways of like, just speak to the problem you solve for people. Don't talk all about your business and your 5-step framework and all that stuff. Nobody cares. No one wants to read that. But if someone's going through the stress and the pressure of the problem that you solve, and you're like, hey, I can help you solve that problem, and here's how we can take the next step in that process, it's so much more effective.
Yes, absolutely. We got to stop giving the life story. We got to stop making ugly flyers that look like they were made on clip art or paint from 1997 on Windows. And even if we're going to use AI, like use it to the best ability. Yeah. Really learn what you're doing.
I love what Bill Wanick teaches with his mind streaming. We're having him come to our Revival in the Marketplace conference and run an interactive activity for 90 minutes. With everyone in the room. It's actually one of the most revolutionary things I've ever seen, from taking original ideas for business owners, leveraging AI in a mind streaming process, which writers used. He basically took what writers would use with free writing to overcome writer's block and applied it through an exercise that he does live with business owners called mind streaming, where there's specific questions and you have so many minutes and you don't think about it, you just write and you can't stop. And then taking a picture of that with a custom-made prompt in AI and getting an output that actually allows you to leverage something. But here's the key. It's original because what you mind streamed out of your own heart and your mind about what you believe about your business and the people you serve and the problems you solve becomes the origination of the spark of the creativity that AI can then organize and show you how to create messaging around. That's your website messaging, that's your social media content, that's your paid ads. Yeah. If you guys want to learn that, come to our conference. The link's actually here in the podcast. We're going to do this exercise live, and it's going to be really cool. But hey, you asked, like, I think you were going to ask me, like, what are some of the biggest mistakes I made?
Just one as we're wrapping up.
You know, it's hard to answer because it's like a double-parted thing. I actually think that if you're not bugging people with your marketing, you're not marketing well enough. And so it's like, we've had a whole conversation about building trust and all of that, and that's so necessary. But I put a lot of content out for many years just to put content out, and I didn't make a lot of money until I started making call to actions and bugging people. And so I think the greatest thing that I've learned is it's okay to ask people to take the next step with you. And you're actually doing a disservice to humanity. If God gave you a gift and a vision to start your business and you solve a problem for people in the world, a real need that needs to be met, you're doing a disservice to not ask people to buy it. And I know I'm bleeding into sales right here. Marketing's only job is to get people in front of you so you can do that. You're a business owner, you sell things, get out of your Christianese mindset. Your business needs to make money, it needs to be profitable, it needs to be sustainable. If you're not asking people to buy from you, then you're not a good business owner. And so it's like, I measure how many times in a week does our team ask people to take the next step in the journey with us through our products, businesses, and services. If that number is low, I'm doing a disservice to humanity. My marketing's job, its only job, is to get people in front of us so we can do that. And so I think in order to do that, you need to capture people's contact information. That's such a game changer. We have a CRM with probably 70,000, Christian business owners' names, emails, and phone numbers. That is the most valuable asset I have for our company. And it's because I've invested so heavily with you into all these channels of marketing to get attention, to lead people to a place of capturing their information, to nurturing them to a place where we make an offer and we ask them to take the next step in the journey. And if we've done a good job, we've built trust with those people, we've spoken to the problem we solve for people, and we've taken them on a journey to now where we can say, here's what we can do for you. Here's the problems we solve. Here's the dream outcome. Here's why we are trustworthy and credible. And here's the expectation on your part, the time and cost for you. Now they can make an informed decision if they're going to move forward with us. Great businesses do that really well.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's so good. And I think it's important for you to understand what are the platforms out there. There's more than social media. There's more than, just your website. And those assets are great, but there's so many other ways to get in front of people, But like you said, without a way to connect with them, you're never going to have that conversation.
Yeah.
If you can't have that conversation, you're never going to be able to make an offer. If you can't make an offer, you can't make a sale. And then if you can't make a sale, you don't have a business. So I think that's a really great summation of all of that. And I think it's really important for us to be excellent in our marketing. Brandon Forbes, he said, as Christian business owners, we should have the best marketing.
Yep.
We shouldn't have the ugliest, the crappiest, the most confusing and wasteful. I know
Your
a lot of people
marketing
waste money
should
on
be
marketing.
so good that I go, I bet that person's Christian. Why? Because they hold themselves to a higher standard.
Yeah. Tell me more. Like, and it might not even be a Jesus fish or a cross or anything Christian-y that they say, but it's just like, there's something different.
And,
I really
there's
like what they
overt
have to
and
say.
covert Christian businesses. Not every business needs to talk about Jesus on the front, but the way you do business should reflect who Christ is. And if you are going to put Jesus on the front, you better back it up.
I agree. And I think that just in closing here, take ownership and responsibility of the message that you believe God has called you to carry.
Yeah.
If you believe God has called you to solve this problem in someone's life and alleviate their suffering and alleviate their pain, and he's given you inspiration from heaven and an idea that actually cures that, then it's your job to do the work to become excellent at communicating that to people. What did Jesus do? He was such an excellent communicator. He told parables. He told stories. People would flock to him. He was not trying to gather people and invite them. You know, he wasn't doing all this hard work to market the gospel. They just naturally came to him because he was so clear in his message.
Yeah.
The kingdom of God is here. Repent, be baptized, be saved. And so I think that if we can just do our job and take responsibility of that and get so excellent at it, then there's going to be no question on if we're going to succeed in the marketplace.
So good. Yeah. And guys, you have an incredible gift on your life. God gave those gifts to you, and it's like, I love entrepreneurship because we're people that want to use the gifts God gave us to go help people. And every Christian I talk to at the heart, it's like, I just want to help people. And then you got to refine it. Well, how do you want to help people? And what problem do you solve for them? Okay, once you've figured that out and you've gotten clarity, stop thinking about like, what if it doesn't work out, and start thinking about what if it does? What if you went all in on your business and you committed for the next 10 years and said, I'm going to commit for the next 10 years of my life to solving this problem in the world for people. God put the burden on your heart for that thing. Every one of us has different businesses. God's burdened my heart for Christian entrepreneurs. I believe they're one of the most lonely groups in the world. They're building a business. Entrepreneurship is a tough journey. Most fail, and it's lonely, and you often feel misunderstood. And when you add being a Christian to that, you feel like you can't bring your Christian values into the way that you build your business. God burdened my heart with that. I wake up every day and there's this mission in me of finding these people, getting them in community and helping them and mentoring them. And that's the thing that we obsess over. And I love talking about it. I love recording podcasts like this. I love coming alongside Christian entrepreneurs, building an amazing community for them. And they're like, man, I'm surrounded by hundreds of people like me, people building businesses like me I can learn and grow with, and people that love Jesus and want to do it with biblical principles. And so it's, what does the Lord burden your heart on? And go build all your marketing and all your messaging around that. And, Gary Vaynerchuk said, we highly overestimate what we can do in a year, and we highly underestimate what we can do in 10. Do not play the short game in your marketing, play the long game. The reality is there's a lot of people probably trying to do something similar to you. Most of them won't be here 10 years from now. Be the one that is.
Yeah.
And I think that the long game and the consistency over time is so overlooked. Everyone wants to be a millionaire in their business in the first year or two. It often doesn't happen, but it doesn't mean you can't do it in 10. And it's like, just stick to it. And I just think that there's a credibility that's acquired over time with people doing marketing, and they show up consistently to an audience as an expert in that thing. A lot of Christian entrepreneurs every year, if you look at their social media, have a different business, and they have no credibility with their audience. And so that's a good thing just to throw in at the end is like, what do you want to be known for? And obsess over that.
What is God calling you to be known for?
That's even better.
And get so crystal clear on it. And maybe don't say anything until you hear from him.
Yeah.
Because the more you say stuff and change it, the more people are going to distrust you.
Yeah.
But I think that's so good. I hope that this conversation has been valuable, and that it makes you rethink your marketing, it makes you go back to the basics and say, God, help me here. Show me the areas of my weakness. Show me the areas that I need to take more responsibility in, ownership, grow my skill sets, or hire the right person, and allow him to inspire you in your marketing. And, if you are building a business and you want to continue to grow in these areas and be around other believers who want to become excellent and make their marketing and their business the most excellent and just set apart in the industry, come connect with us.
Yeah.
Come join us on an introductory call. Meet our team in the Christian Entrepreneur Club. We'd love to get to know you. The links are below. And as always,
go make it a great day.